Lunchtime-Tanglers. I'm Annie-Reiser, certified Zen-Tangle teacher and certified botanical illustrator. And in today's Lunchtime Tangle, we are going to tackle two tangles still from the Inktober Tangles series. Days 19 and 20, I am putting together the tangles Tagh, here, Tagh, and Walk the Line in my tangle Eros, using the Eros or the rose as a string, basically, to fill in those other tangles. So we're going to do just one on a Bijou tile, because I need the Bijou tile for my small book when I'm finished. And I just have it in plain white. We're going to do plain white and black today. I've got an 005 Micron pen because I get into some tiny spaces. I have an 01, a pencil, soft pencil, and tortillion for blending, as well as my kneaded eraser for lifting. So we're going to just start right out with the 01, and I'm going to draw my tangle Eros. Okay, so we're going to start with a spiral center. And at the top of the spiral, we're going to bow out and make a nice big bud, coming back in kind of a crescent shape here. That's the beginning of Eros. Then we're going to make the petal area around here that is basically consisting of ridges. I'm going to do pairs, one pair of ridges like that, in a circle just around this bud. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so now we do have, it's very irregular, and that's fine, it should be. And then we're going to find where the two petals are, and we're going to start dividing them with a bowed line. So 1, 2, divide, 1, 2, 1, 2. Notice how I'm bowing my line. Whoops, that one got kind of weird. If you bow your lines, it's going to give your petal a little bit of movement. And then I'm going to go back in on that line and weight it ever so slightly with a triangle at the bottom. This is going to help us when we're doing our walk the line afterwards to know where to shade. Okay, so now, normally I put these little ridges, these little spikes actually, around here, but when we put our Tagh in, it's going to make that pattern in the negative space area, so we don't need to do that. So let's start with our walk the line, which is really a fun tangle, very meditative. If you just keep your pen on the paper and just concentrate on that contour line that we have to hit, go down with, and come back up. Very lovely pattern. So up, walk the line a little bit, and come back down. Stay on the line, go up to the top, walk the line, and come back down. And you just keep that going. I have to bow my line ever so slightly to kind of fit in the shape of this petal. And line. You don't have to think a lot. You just go right up to that contour line and come back down. So this, I wasn't paying any attention. I should have kept my line coming more down towards the center, but I kind of like that it seems to be tucked in and we get that directional change of our line. It'll So there is basically Walk the Line by Chris Titus. I love it. You can use this pattern on any shape, really, any contour line. And I would like to try it on some other line work, just totally random and irregular. It's just a wonderful idea. Anyway, so we've got that natural thick and thin going on here. Now we're going to do Tagh. Tagh is a tangle by headquarters, and I'm gonna do it like that. It's basically just a little arc, and you put this little almost like a spike in the middle of it. You can also do an aura line. I've decided not to do the aura line on this because it will be too busy. So I'm just going to go ahead and make my Tagh all the way around. Very similar stroke to what we just did up there. And then I'm going to go in and fill in that little center . Very narrow, long triangle. Go back on this side. Smaller as it comes back around. So now I do have my 005 pin. For this really tiny work. You could even get a smaller nib. So that's the first layer of Tagh, and I want it to keep on, I want to keep layering, and you do that by alternating those layers so they're kind of shoved over a half a step. So I'm going to start at the top of one of these, and I'm going to make my next Tagh joining the two halves like that. And there could be room for one more row, but first let's put in our little... So I can't believe I'm having a bad day, technically speaking. My camera just stopped about right here when I was filling in the last rows of Tagh, and I just basically did the same thing on the last row with my very fine pen, and then I added some weighted line on my spiral. And now we're ready to shade. Like I said, we know now where the petals will be separating out because of our weighted line here. So why don't we, first of all, emphasize that these petals are going down into the center of this bud, attaching down there. So you can see how that already pops up from the center. And now we're going to take our graphite, and only on one side of these lines, I'm going to put it on the right hand side of this line, I'm going to be shading my petals so that they look like they're separating. And I love this, what's going on there. And then there would be this one and this one. So let's see what happens if it's going to really show us the petals. I'm going to just draw some down a little bit into the center here. You can always put a tiny bit of graphite on these tips, what's left on your tortillion, but there will remain that inner center is going to be very bright and in highlight. And then you really almost don't need it here, but if you were going to shade, you could put a tiny bit on top of this first row of Tagh strokes, just ever so slightly, and very little bit of blending. And I'm going to even lift it a little bit because you don't need much. And then I'm just going to lift this spiral, kind of make it three-dimensional. So I'm really leaving this Tagh in the light, and you get some darkness underneath here, this first row. So those other little Tagh rows are just kind of subtle in the shading. And just go around and see where you might see a little bit of a dip here. So I'm going to bring that down where it dips. And there is my version of Tagh with Walk the Line. And now you can have fun embellishing your rows. You can cluster them like I did with this one. If you have a larger tile, I am definitely going to add some fescues here just to make it a little bit more interesting, and maybe a leaf or two. Let's do one kind of going this way. We need to really weight this line here because it's just crossing over. Do a little bit of almost walk the line here, right? You go up, walk the line, come back down. Some fescue. It's kind of a three-dimensional fescue. Looks good with the big bold line of this pattern. We could do a few little Taghs down here. With the aura. Okay, maybe a few pearls or perfs at this focal point. And then I will shade and show you the final result. And there we have Walk the Line with Tagh inside Eros. So do check out my Eros tutorial, which I will put in the description below, so you can go right to it on YouTube. And then with that, you will learn how to draw the full cluster of roses. So don't forget to add your chop, sign the back and date it, and please do share your results with me on my Annie's Botangle Alumni Student Facebook page. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time. That's it for today's Tangle. Thanks for joining me. If you like these lunchtime tutorials, please give them a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I also invite you to check out my website for classes that I have scheduled or to purchase my Tangle tags for your favorite step outs. That's botangle.net. I'm leaving you with some other links too. Zentangle.com, where you can learn more about the Zentangle method from its founders, Rick Roberts and Maria Thomas. You can also visit their store there for a multitude of Zentangle paper tiles, tools, books, and kits. Tanglepatterns.com is that site I talk about where you can explore hundreds of tangle patterns, read about them, and get the step out, which is basically the deconstruction of the pattern. And finally, if you'd like to share your beautiful results with me and my student community, please join Annie's Botangle Alumni Facebook page. We're a private group where we inspire each other with our work and offer tips and useful information about art and Zentangle.